We are back and more sharing regarding other topics. The very important topic to speak with is regarding tithes. Should a person pay 10% to the congregation? It's a very interesting topic, and a lot of people they are making such a confusion out of it, of a situation that was so simple. What it meant, and Abraham, when he met Melchizedek, and he gave the 10% of what he had. It was truly important to give the 10%, but should the guys give 10% to the congregation? What do you think would be the answer? The answer is absolutely no. Should never give any money, because the main purpose of the congregation coming together for sharing is the faith. That's the main topic. The 10% you set apart, then you give to the set apart camp. This was the first meaning of it, because the people then of Israel would take care of their tithes and their responsibilities during the time of the Feast of Tabernacles. But the intention was to make sure first that the gates they were closed, and then they would first give the first portion of their produce to the Father Yahweh himself. This is the idea. Is it not true what he said, that the first part of their produce should be his? That's Torah teaching. So then when a person gives a portion of their income, they are given to the Creator as a form of respect and a form of he is the giver. Should the person give to the unfortunate? No, they should not, because the original plan was first to give to the camp. Give to Yahweh what belongs to Yahweh, and he requires the first fruit is his, for his camp. And then in turn, then the camp the camp would then work the land around them, and they would provide to those around them. It is simply clear. There is no mystical understanding of what tithe should be. So is that proper for a person to go out in a congregation and give the 10%? It's absolutely wrong. It was never biblical. People came up with their own understandings of what they should be paying, and they are not to be paid. If you want to do it in a biblical sense, then wait until the camps are set in place and give it to the camp. That's where the monies they belong to. They belong there because you are giving directly to the Creator, who is making way for you to have what you have. It's very simple. Later on, because the city was so badly organized during the time of Yahshua, and then they had to take care of many unfortunate people, because the main system of the government was so badly contaminated with the paganism, and they did not have any other way of taking care of them. So then they would themselves would go up during the time of the Feast of Tabernacles, and then they would take care of the unfortunate. But it wasn't so at first, because the idea was first to give your 10% to the Creator himself, never to the system, never to any other person, but himself. So is that proper for a person to give the 10% to a congregation? It is wrong. It is simply wrong. It's not biblical. However, because when they come together and they want to have a place of sharing, would it be wrong for them to rent a place? Obviously not. Would not be wrong, as long as they understand that the main factor of their visit is sharing what Yahshua taught, because they are goys and they are not the set apart people, and the set apart people should receive their tithes once a year, and then they should do what would be proper for the Father, and he decides what to do with his 10%. So it's very clear there is no such of pastors and teachers being paid with the money of the people. Because the goys, they don't have teachers, they don't have preachers, they don't have prophets. Those are in the camp. That's why you give your 10% to the camp. That's where Yahweh is at. He's at the camp. So then, could they put together some money and help renting a place? Absolutely. But those are above the 10%. They simply take a portion of what they have and they rent a place for them to come and congregate. And they only share with each other. They don't teach over each other. They don't lord over each other. They don't set up titles above each other. Those are not biblical. They simply share. Simply share their faith. Or their faiths. So then, the main understanding of the tithe is then cleared away. And the best for us to encourage the Hebrew brothers to set up their camps, and then people should be waiting outside for their teachings, because they are the only functioned people that are able truly to teach. It makes a whole lot more interesting, because then we don't have to have the responsibility of teaching others. We only share with them. So then, other portions of the scriptures also very important of sharing would be, is there a place of inferno? Is there a place where people are going to be tormented? And there were some sharing done before, and it's important also to understand what is sin and what is not sin, and is that a place that a person is going to be until the closing of the age? And the answer is absolutely, because we became a living soul, as the souls that they died with Yahshua, they are resting. The other souls then, what are they at? Since they are living souls until the end, they are going to the first death, is a place of torment. And those people, they can't return. And it's very dangerous place, a place that they're going to wait until their final destruction. And this place does exist. It is true. Place of torment, demons, and name it. It is very ugly. So then we have in this life only the chance of either working for the Creator and being faithful if we are goys, or doing the work of His perfectly through the work of Ruach HaKodesh, and then teaching other people, function as, and then goys wise, people outside, they would live by faith, so they can escape the first death, because this is what Yahshua taught. And then the revelation becomes a whole lot more interesting, because there are many references in the Torah regarding the first death, and there is a portion of King Solomon when he was in charge of the country, and there was in Ecclesiastes chapter 9 states that he wanted more justice upon the other nations, and he was a bit angry, and he invited the holy presence of Yahweh via his vengeance side. And then it would be the Yahweh, Nathan, Nakmah, and obviously he came in and he did give him the sense of the vengeance, but then he turned and he became Yahweh Abba, because then later Solomon was fathered, and he was explained why he should not request such, because those are reserved for the end, and then gives a tiny understanding of the first death. And it is recorded. It's a kind of a very interesting portion, but a person must read in Hebrew and translate word by word into English from the original Hebrew, so a person can easily understand what he was explaining. So it's very important, those topics, because a person can begin to be part, at least in a tiny portion of the sense of his presence. So then Revelation is in fact a shadow of the previous, is also from the Torah, and a person can easily say Torah vengeance, because for us guys is easier understanding, because we don't have the proper understanding and the proper function of Ruach HaKodesh in our lives. So then we must kind of have the entire teaching in portions, yet they lined up perfectly. So we have an understanding of what it was, what it is, and what should be, but what will be in the future, as what they should be as a whole, and then includes the Torah instructions, and then the Torah grace that covers the completion of the spring feast done by Yahshua the Mashiach, and then was the Son's part, what he did, and then comes the Father's part, and his part is the second half, the Torah vengeance. So it makes us a whole lot more understanding regarding this, because it is a certainty that we should pray and ask for more of the influence of Ruach HaKodesh, so we can share with other people, because Shaul said, then comfort each other with these words. And Yahshua then obviously is coming back later to rescue his people from the earth before the shout of sulfur comes. But then we explain more of it later. Have a nice day.